So you may be the twin flame chaser here, wondering if you can move on. You may be the runner, trying to understand emotionally and spiritually what's happening with the chaser and whether they're moving on or not. You may be simply trying to understand the full twin flame journey by asking this question: can a twin flame chaser move on? And the answer is yes, they can, and no, they can't. In the long term, that twin flame union is going to happen. You can't move on from the other part of your soul. However, that doesn't mean that the union is guaranteed to happen in this lifetime. And that's why you have to actively make it happen. And a chaser at a certain point can choose to halt that connection, to halt that journey. It doesn't mean it's the end of things. It doesn't mean they've gone forever. But it can be an active decision that a twin flame chaser can decide. In this lifetime, it's absolutely possible for one or both flames to give up on the journey. I hate to see when that happens because the path to union is so incredibly rare, and if you can potentially make that happen, you should make every effort to do so. And I hate it when it doesn't happen, but I can understand why giving up or moving on temporarily on the twin flame runner can happen. I'm going to be very careful about the way I phrase this and say this, but because I really don't want you to just sit back and wait for them to do all the work, then when it's done for the right reasons, the twin flame chaser moving on can actually help the runner in their journey. Sometimes that is exactly what has to happen, especially if you're struggling with your feelings of abandonment and rejection and still have work to do in your own spiritual path to be ready for that union. I'm not saying everyone should give up as soon as they come into any kind of difficulties or obstacles. This phase, the separation phase, where there is a runner, plays a very important role, and most of us go through it at least once in the journey. But whether or not it furthers your spiritual journey is very specific for you and the work you're willing to put in, and your twin flame also. Sometimes it takes a soulmate to help you work through some of the karmic debt and prepare yourself for union. And whilst that seems completely opposite to the way you feel and think, it might be the twin flame chaser moves on and meets this catalyst that they can really only then begin to work on themselves and bring an end to the separation phase for good. So even if there isn't a third person, a catalyst involved, maybe just taking the time to focus on you is the right move. If the focus is always on the runner and what they're doing, that can distract us from the internal journey of growth, and that's what really brings you close to union. So I know it's not an easy situation to be in when you feel like giving up. There's no easy answer, and I can't absolutely say that it's the right thing to do, but you're not alone here. And all that doubt and frustration doesn't mean your journey has failed. It might be that the moment you decide to move on is when your journey actually takes that next step. And the answer to this is that the runner doesn't act out of logic. They act out of fear and out of a spiritual immaturity. They have no idea of the strength of this connection or capacity to deal with that strength if they are conscious of it. So the runner will notice the chaser has stopped in most cases, but won't understand what that means for the chaser and what that means for them. If the chaser has fully stopped, they're not going to feel apathetic about it either. They're going to feel still connected because that connection remains. The chaser is going to feel the weight of their decision, and they're going to feel isolated and hurt in the same way that the runner does. The runner still feels isolated, embarrassed, hurt, guilty, all of those feelings. But if you've really moved on as a chaser, then it will get easier, but it won't be overnight. But the runner, because they're spiritually most likely less evolved, might be ending this journey in this lifetime without feeling the same sense of loss. The runner might be hit by a sudden feeling of loneliness and abandonment, but not understand why. They might feel anger and resentment because the chaser has stopped chasing them. They may not be consciously aware of anything. Another thing that can happen is that the runner-chaser dynamic can instantly switch. They then become the chaser. That sense of loss forces them to chase after what was given to them and has now been withdrawn. So there are all sorts of things can happen at the end of this, but absolutely they will notice the chaser is stopped and many different outcomes will happen because of that. But this connection is not lost. It's simply delayed. It can absolutely be the twin flame runner comes back. And we've spoken about this. It may be the twin flame runner returns after a catalyst has entered their life and shown them their spiritual journey and the continuation of that. It can be the twin flame runner comes back because they sense that change in energy and that dearth of communication, and on some level tune into that, work upon themselves and return to where they were. It can be the chaser changes their mind and decides that they want to reinvest in that journey, and they're called back because that connection retains and keeps them in the same place with their twin flame. It can be that the runner-chaser dynamic changes and one becomes the chaser and the other becomes the runner. And that all changes until that finalizes itself in a place where your energies are in tune. The twin flame runner-chaser dynamic is very complicated the best of times. It's always in flux. And both of you are making decisions, both here in the 3D and higher levels. So sometimes these decisions are made and you understand afterwards why you've made them. So yes, twin flame runner can come back, chaser can change their mind. This is in the hands of both parties to the twin flame relationship. Twin flame can decide, the twin flame runner can decide to come back, the twin flame chaser can decide to come back, of course. I care what happens on your twin flame journey. If you'd like some further guidance, just click the link below.